No, and you hear the president and people talking, oh, the next 2 weeks are going to be bad. The reason they're saying that is because they're looking at today's numbers and
And
saying
extrapolating that
it's
out
going to
with the
be
doubling
bad.
factor.
The problem is you got to extrapolate out way beyond that because you got to remember that it takes anywhere from 7 to 10 days to hit symptomatic.
And then to double.
Well, yeah, just for an individual to get, okay, I've got the virus.
Right.
It could take 7 to 10 days for me to even start getting my fever and my cough and feeling a little sick. It can take several days after that to where you say, man, I need to go to the hospital. Then you got a couple of days that they put you in the hospital before all of a sudden the pattern has been that if you're going to go bad, you crash. Like within 24 hours, you crash and you're moved to the ICU. Then you can be in that ICU anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3, sometimes even as high as 4 weeks before you die. So there's a huge lag in the deaths from the cases. So if you look over at some of these with all these active cases, it could be, 3-4 weeks before you see that move over to the death column because it takes a long time.
Definitely.
So, looking forward, it's one thing to say, hey, the next 2 weeks are going to be bad. Just if you said we never got another case, this is where we're at. Really, you're looking at 4 weeks out, and we know it's still spreading and growing. We haven't peaked. Your total cases per million in population for the U.S., and I'll go back up. So we've got 837 cases reported per million of our population. That's 0.08% of our population. Now everybody talks about we got to get to herd immunity. For something with an R naught or a transmissibility of this particular virus, and that's not a static number because it depends on the inherent features of the virus, but also the behaviors of the people.
And what mutation of the virus you have.
And you got whatnot. But typically for something of a high transmissibility like this, with an R naught anywhere in that 3 to 5 range, you've got to get above 70% of your population having exposure to it to get herd mentality. So we're a long, long, long way from that. So
definitely.
Short of a vaccine at some point in time, we're not going to hit herd immunity to this anywhere. It could be 2 years, 3 years, Now we should have a virus hopefully before then, but you also and we'll have better treatments. The problem with the vaccine is you got to think of the flu, even though they're very different. The flu vaccine's not perfect.
It almost never works.
Some years it's better, it mutates, and some years it's better. Sometimes it's horrible. So we don't know if we're gonna have a really good vaccine or not. But just to kind of get back to the point, people really need to look at the data, extrapolate it for themselves, and understand this isn't a 2-week problem. This isn't a 1-month problem. This is going to get really bad for a while.
Basically, what you're saying is instead of trusting the news sources to keep you up to date, instead of trusting your leaders, your governors, your congressmen, look at the news yourself. Try to find unbiased, uninfluential news. Try to find numbers. Try to find raw data, and learn how to read a chart. Learn how basic viruses work. Educate yourself. And then make plans for you and your family based around that. Like we made plans back in January. Everyone told us we were crazy.
I looked at the data coming out of China and I said, this is fucking bad. We're not going to stop this. And we started increasing, our pantry, food, ammo,
keeping
we
extra supplies.
Taking steps immediately.
Definitely.
To prepare for it. In worst case scenario, hey, we're wrong and everybody's humpty-dory and the freaking rainbows are shining and the unicorns are running. Well, that's great. We've got some extra stuff. We got hurricane season around the corner. You never know when you're going to need. You should always be prepared.